Here. Mike Kennedy,
Here.
Don Buchholz is gone, and Tori Boomza is gone, and Pam Brokaw.
There was a copy of the minutes in the packet. Is there any changes, corrections, or omissions anyone has from any of that?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Any comments from anyone other than Hugh on anything that we need? Hugh, you're our first item. Hugh's one of the people who talked me into coming on the park board way back when, and Donnie Gilbert and Ray St. Ors and
Gene Erickson.
Yep.
And a few. Actually, I looked it up, was on the park board from 1979 to 1987.
Thank you.
In front of you, I have passed out a copy from the Hudson Star Observer of November 1st of an article on the death of Whitney Reap, who died along County F riding his bicycle. At the time that happened and subsequent to that, the park board had a vision of extending a trail that was gravel kind of around the lakefront park. And the dream was that it would go all the way through Hudson, into North Hudson, head up to the beach along Galahad, the ferry landing, that whole area. Afton, Lakeland, St. Mary's Beach had started developing the blacktop walkway, bicycle way from Afton to the bridge, and the new bridge had a walkway across on the south bridge. There was a memorial fund for Whitney, and a number of years later, Beverly and Dean Reap, the parents, thought that a fitting use of the memorial money might be to start in Hudson this idea that the park board and others had talked about for safety of bicyclists to actually have it come to fruition. And a number of years after he died in 73, but at least when I was on the park board, I knew there was a fair amount of time between when he died and what they decided to do with the memorial money. But the Reap family donated I'm trying to find out how much it was, but it was a considerable amount of money from the memorial, and they added to it to pay for the initial paving of the trail in Lakefront Park. There was a dedication at the start of the trail where the marina is. The trail starts right where the street ends, where the marina is, and there was a sign there dedicating the trail to Whitney Reap. My recollection is we called it Reap's Trail because the whole family was involved in it in memory of Whitney. And they provided the seed money to start that project. That sign with activity, floods, whatever, disappeared.
Wow.
It's no longer there. And Pat asked me about it, and I said I'd try and find out more other than just my memory on it. And that with all of the emphasis that we have now on bicycling and safety and the parkland that the county has north on Highway 35 and the bridge crossing on the new bridge and all the things for bicycling, that maybe we should revisit this, remember who initially gave the city the money to start the project, and sort of rededicate that a little bit and remember kind of who started it.
Do either of you recall what the memorial actually said? Was it just in honor of Whitney Reed? This trail has been, was it language like that?
I don't remember the memorial, I just remember the sign
Reed.
saying Reeps Trail,
Trail.
and then there was
Okay.
something else. I may, don't count on it, I may still have my old park board files in
Okay.
storage along with my other law firm files.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm gonna try and find what I can. I did get this article from the Hudson Star Observer through the research center at the Hudson Library.
Yeah.
The only entry on the REAP last name was this article, and not, I remember being there for the dedication, and Gene Erickson was there, the Star Observer was there were other people present. But in the index that Willis Miller kept of names as they appeared in the Star Observer, the only entry that he has in his records, which have been digitized, is this article on Jesse. So I have a little more digging to do to try and figure it out.
And I'm not sure enough in my memory that it was metal or wood
Okay.
as a sign, because at that time, we were making a lot of wooden signs for things.
My
Wooden
recollection
painted
it was
letters.
wood.
Yeah, that it wasn't a metal plaque kind of thing,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Is the family still here, or do we have any,
Pardon?
is there any record of the family? Are they still here? Or
No,
do- so-
Jesse lives, the young,
I think Jesse and Clifford, his older brothers, and are still alive and
but not here.
not here.
I know that they are alive.
Pardon?
I know that they are too. I can probably get in touch with Jesse. I
Okay.
mean, if
And I sent a
need to.
text to Cliff about it.
Do you know if Murley is
I've been-
still alive? The
I'm not
oldest?
sure.
I think so.
Okay.
I'm pretty
When
sure.
this happened, according to the article, he was stationed, he was in the Air Force
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to check with Jesse.
in Thailand, I believe. So that's, I guess, an awareness
I
thing.
don't know.
I think with all the emphasis that we have on safe bicycling, and we're, putting bike lanes on streets and this sort of thing, and with what is going on in the Lakefront Park on the boardwalk and other things, it would be fitting to sort of figure this out and get a plaque or something there to remember him and the family money that let us start that.
Yeah.
Do you know what year that was paved?
Well, it was after 1979.
Yeah.
And he died in 73,
Right.
and so I think with the grief and everything else, they just sort of didn't deal with it right away, and eventually the money, I'll try and figure out when that
Okay.
money came in. If I can't, I'll get a hold of you, Deb.
Okay. Well, I think,
And you can look through minutes of
Oh, yeah.
park board
I
meetings
Yeah.
for that
Oh, I'd
time
love to.
period.
Liz might know.
Yeah,
Liz might-
yeah, Liz
Yeah,
would
Liz-
have a recollection.
Yeah.
yeah, I guess what I would recommend then is if the park board is agreeable to what he was requesting, I'd recommend we just go through the memorial policy, so that we have something on file, we have something in writing, what the plaque is gonna say, and then it can be approved by this unit of government and then on to common council, and then we can install it. So that would be my recommendation. And we can cite that it was already in place, I don't think it'll be a huge issue, but at least we're going
Well,
through the
we've had a few
process.
floods in
Yeah.
front parks
Yeah.
since then, so.
The biggest thing is like, do we want to try and, if we try to find out what the original wording was, if that's important, or if we reach out to the Reap family and make sure that they're comfortable with it. I don't just want to put something up there that they're not going to be happy with, or, you know, that type of thing.
Right, I think we should try and reach out. Pat has tried to reach out to Jesse, I think.
Right, both
But-
Jeff and Cliff.
Okay,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we get a hold of Jesse.
then they may have something that they saved, or if
Yeah.
their folks left a scrapbook, or,
Right.
you know, something like that, that there
okay.
might be a picture, or whatever the Star Observer did with it back then, so. I mean, I can work with Deb and try
Yeah.
and do some more research on it.
Is the park board on board with this?
I like your recommendation that we go through this,
Okay.
the process.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, on board with replacing what was once there and
Okay.
Thanks, Hugh.
Okay.
All right.
thank you.
We'll be in
Thank you very
touch, you.
much.
Appreciate it.
Deb, I'll be in
Okay,
touch with you.
Thank
Do you need any
you.
more copies for other members?
I don't think so. I think we got it.
We'll be good. We can scan them and email
Yep.
to them.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Next item was number B, or letter B. I are educated.
oh, you can,
Anyhow, B was our schedule of park board meetings coming up.
Yep, so basically just put a calendar together of the scheduled park board meetings throughout the year. Typically, it's the first Tuesday of the month. There are some that fall around holidays that may or may not be had. You know, it's all dependent on what we have on the docket. But it's just a draft so everybody can kind of pencil some dates into the calendar. So I'd look for a motion to approve the schedule as presented.
second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Motion carried. Next item we have is the Hudson Boosters and the,
Yep. So Hudson Booster has recently met with city staff, and one of their requests this year with fields is at Burton Park, and it's in the packet. You'll see in the northeast corner of the park, we had installed a grass infield. The reason that we installed a grass infield when we redid that field is we ran out of money to purchase the rest of the line. So we kind of had to do a switcheroo and did what we had with what we had. But it kind of limits that field use for them and other organizations. There's only baseball that can be played on that. And so they're just looking to request that we allow them to convert that from a grass infield to an alder infield so that both softball and baseball could use it, which would make it more versatile. I have no problems with that. They said that they would pay for materials and labor to do that. So like I said, it doesn't matter to me. So,
they're the ones who play there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So, and then they would purchase a portable mound, similar to what you see all like at Grandview Park, so that different levels of baseball could use it, and then they take it out and the softball team can use it. So, overall, I think it would be a good renovation, and the kids would get even more use out of that facility, which is important. So, I would recommend approval of Hudson Boosters' request.
Move to approve.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
All right.
Motion carried. Old business. We've got the Garden Club grant.
Yeah. So Karen, I know you've been doing a little bit of legwork on this, and it's on the agenda. There's a grant that is awarded through the Hudson Home and Garden Club, up to $500. And Karen had brought it forward thinking that it would be a good opportunity to apply for the beautification of the point up at Prospect Park that we just installed that nice walkway around.
Great.
The front of it was demolished during construction. We had to move a bunch of rocks, so on and so forth, to get equipment in and out. And so it's in front of the board tonight to just basically approve staff to go forward with the grant application. And Karen, you and I can maybe work on that together if you'd like. But the thing that probably we want to talk about is just the vision of that space and what we want to put in there moving forward, just so everybody's on the same board. So,
Can I just add something?
Yeah.
My thinking and the comments that I made to the Hudson Club, the Home and Garden Club, was that it's the two existing gardens that really need work.
okay.
So there's kind of one in the shade and one in sun, and they both need new plantings and they need some cleanup too. But the money, as I envisioned it, would go for plantings. And I didn't talk specific, I didn't ask them to identify plants, My thinking is we just put in there that it's low-maintenance perennials.
Okay.
And gives us some leeway whether the gardener, the park board gardener does the landscape design or however. There is some interest in the club and with master gardeners to actually help.
Ooh.
So, if we actually get volunteers as opposed to just people,
Yeah.
I think that would be useful, and we can figure out how to coordinate that
Okay.
with, park board staff.
So the two gardens that you're referencing is the one garden is at the point, right? Where the kind of that park, where the, the
Where you
horseshoe.
park.
Where you
it's-
park.
Yeah, right there.
Right there,
They're
right in front of
there.
you.
There's one that's got a huge rock in the middle,
Yep.
and then there's another one that's got some plantings that
Okay.
are kind of in.
So we're
disrepair.
I'm in the right location.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. So are you
Do we
looking,
want to put a ground cover on the knoll? Something that'll keep all the buckthorn and everything else from grumming? Can we get sumac or
what knoll are you talking about?
out at the point, lookout point there?
Like on the slope?
On
going
the
down?
slope.
I don't know.
I mean, the buckthorn keeps growing up as fast as we can cut it down.
Yeah.
And
You need the goats.
Need the goats
Need the
to
goats
come
again.
back? Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
we do.
I think what I would say to that is maybe we try to mechanically keep it down somehow, some way with like a flail arm mower.
Oh,
So on
okay.
and so forth, we can go down a little
If
bit.
you can
just-
do that, yeah.
As long as we keep it, the vista open, right, the view open. I don't care if the buckthorn grows down below,
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't do any ground cover right now.
Okay.
Yeah. But, no, so anyways, back for the grant, I would just probably look for a motion to, direct staff to complete the grant application submitted to the Hudson, Home and Garden Club.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Great.
Next, we have the Bella Rose Park Plan.
Yeah, so following our previous meetings, contacted our company that we've worked with in the past that have done many of our playground upgrades or installations, and they came back with some options for us to discuss tonight. You'll notice in the agenda packet. Let's go down here.
That's
Okay.
option one.
Yep, so three options, obviously, we have $245,000 roughly, and $245,120 in the Fund 280 park dedication fees for this improvement. So the quotes that are in the packet do not include any concrete work, any fencing. So just keep that in mind as we're talking through these, because one of them is larger. Option number 3, that's at, what was that one at? 230,000. Yeah. So if you kind of break it down, the other two options, option 1 is 196,000. And that gives you a breakdown of the equipment. And then obviously the pour in place rubber is a large sum of the installation. You're looking at approximately $80,000 to install that surface. That surface will last, 25 to 30 years. So it's a large upfront cost, but in the long run, between adding wood chips and taking out moldy wood chips and then reinstalling wood chips with staff time, it does, if you pencil it out, it does, over the life of the playground, it does even out, right? It's just a larger upfront cost. So obviously, depending upon what you want to see in there, we did include just a couple of small shade structures. Obviously, I would probably prefer to build something a little larger out of like a wood type structure so that people can have like a family picnic. But yeah, I just kind of want to throw these out here and get your thoughts and ideas. And is this too much? Do we want to downsize it a little bit? It's a little neighborhood park, remember? It's mainly for the residents that live in the Bella Rose subdivision or directly adjacent. We do have a large park at Grandview Park that is more of a regional style park that will probably need to be replaced here within the next 5 to 7 years. So just keep that in mind as we talk through this plan.
I spoke to a couple mothers,
Good, okay.
and they liked the option 2. The option 3, they were concerned that littler kids wouldn't be good on that playground. So, and they thought the option 1 was a little bit too much for little kids, so kind of, option number 2, fell in line, for more ages.
Okay. So they preferred option 1.
Option 2.
Option 2, thank you for the clarification.
I have to say, I did too, just from the gym structure, and it had slightly more shade areas, two instead of just, I think the other one had 1. Are these shade structures actually more expensive than if you built one?
So, not necessarily. So the shade structures are, what do they have them priced at?
Yeah, I think there is in there. This one has
Do we have to worry about the trolls wrecking them?
11th, they're $5,800 a piece. For reference, I could reach out to the dog park, or the dog park association, they just purchased that kind of kit that we threw up in the small dog park, to see what that cost, but I think it was actually probably a little cheaper than what these are, to be honest with you. I think it was only like a $3,000 to $4,000 kit that we put together for them.
Didn't we have the Boy Scouts or something? Either was it that? Yeah.
Yep, they did a
Yeah.
pergola in the larger dog
Yeah.
park. Yep. So I mean, that's something too. It's like we could set it up that if we do have a future Eagle Scout or community group that wants to do something like that, hey, here, there's
Yeah.
a spot for it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't have shade right off the get-go for the families that are using it. That's kind of a catch-22.
It's a walkover park,
It is, yeah.
because you're gonna get in the car, you'd go over to Grandview.
Right.
Right,
Right.
but it's
But
still
if you're out for a
in
walk with
full
the kids,
sun.
yeah.
There's no trees.
That's what I mean, to get over there, the small kids are gonna use that equipment and that stuff more.
I mean, I
And
guess
if we do it such that we can expand it out as time goes on,
Yeah, you can do it in phases. Yeah, you don't have to do everything at one time.
oh, but we need the shade.
We do need shade.
Yeah,
Shade
that's
for sure.
Shade, yeah.
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 I mean, maybe the thing would be to look into the kit for one shade area, and maybe that's it until perhaps we get someone who volunteers to do another one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just an idea.
Where's all the concrete work?
So the concrete work are the sidewalks leading up to the playground, and then the entire playground will have a sidewalk around it, which the fencing will be installed around. And that was one of the things that people had commented on, is it being close to Quick Trip, Annabelle. They're worried about kids running out towards that direction, that at least with the fence around the playground area, that they can kind of keep them in there and keep them
Yeah.
contained.
Yeah.
Which I think is appropriate for that location.
Yeah. Do we know what fencing around this size would be?
We'd probably just do it like a 4-foot
Okay.
black chain link or something like that, something a little more decorative.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as vandalism, I'm not overly concerned with this park compared to some of our other ones. Highly visible location,
Yeah.
right next to Quick Trip, a lot of movement
Yeah.
in and out. So I'm not overly concerned with this
Okay.
location.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Just like it's a big kite.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
You know-
fabric? Yeah,
fabric
it looks
is-
tempting, doesn't it?
Oh, I hate to think that way, but
Yeah.
we do have trolls and people like that, subhumans who do that kind of stuff.
Will this be
Or
lit?
vandalism.
Would this have lighting around it?
Nope, it would not have lighting around it.
Okay.
Yep. And none of our playgrounds really have any
No.
lighting specifically for it. It's all ambient lighting from adjacent street lights, our park pavilions.
Which this one would have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since that surface adds so much to that expense, as I look at these, and I know they're just kind of, someone sitting at a computer laying it all out.
Yeah.
Seems to be a lot of the blue stuff, we'll call it, and you want that under the swings, you want that under the climbing thing, so when I fall off it, I don't get too hurt. But I'm wondering if we could reduce the amount of blue stuff and bring in more cement between, let's say, the two, no matter which option we go with. I mean, if we could take 30% of that out and replace it with
Yep.
the
So-
rubber thing, that might bring more money, and then,
The reason why you're seeing an overabundance of the blue port and paste surface is each unit or each piece of equipment has a fall protection zone.
and there.
So you gotta have, you're not just looking underneath the structure, you gotta have it, depending upon the amenities that are on the structure, 10,
Gotcha.
15 feet beyond it. So that kids that jump off the top of the slide,
Okay.
little Johnny jumps 10 feet off, they wanna be able to land on the rubber and not cement.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Or
Makes sense.
jumping off the swing,
Yep,
like when you did when you were young, right?
right,
Jump
oh,
off
yeah.
the swing, that's the
Taller
best
the
part.
better, yeah.
Asphalt,
All cement.
asphalt and concrete,
Right, yeah, that's how I ended up the way I am.
streets.
And then, again, I don't know if we took this in consideration or not, but option one, for example, in their little drawing, again, they have a wheelchair child, looks like a child, sitting on the park bench. But are any of these set up for handicap accessible necessarily, or is,
Option one was,
I'm sorry, what are you
Where is it on
saying?
option one, other than the kid in the,
It's right
Under the shade.
shade.
under the
Shade
shade,
structure.
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
I'm just saying that, you know. The poor child is looking on the play structure, but I don't know if they can access it.
I thought that he said that
Is this
they-
one that we do wanna, I don't know how that comes out.
So are you asking if, is it required to be ADA accessible?
Is it required? Do we, you know?
Yeah.
If we have the ability to make that decision, are there some functions of this that can be?
Altered to include, yes, ADA
We should.
accessible
Yeah.
play structure.
we should,
Okay,
every kid should be able to play there.
absolutely.
Yeah,
But it's not a full, so, you know, you compare it to a White Camp Park, right? Where that's fully.
Fully, yeah.
Accessible, you got ramps, I mean, but you're looking at a, you know, right now, probably a $750,000 park.
Right,
there, you know?
right.
yeah.
And I envision that possibly going up at Grandview, more of the regional park. But I think we
Yeah.
can incorporate, like you said, some,
At least one of the swings, or, you know, or
Just
just,
something.
I don't know exactly how it boils down, but just keep
Yeah.
that in mind.
Yep.
Of that.
Okay.
And then,
I thought this swing, I thought that was the
Yeah, this-
swing.
that would be interesting, the swings.
yeah.
and then, so then maybe, I get the blue stuff, good talk about the blue stuff. But, you know, as we either build one shade structure that's wood,
Yeah.
or, you know, maybe keep in mind where the cement slab goes, to maybe make space for that, because I think that's a great idea, and have that all, is our thought all within the fence? So if you're gonna go to the park, you go through the gate to get in the fence, and then the kids can run around, grandma and grandpa can sit in the shade, but if you're in, you're in, and the kids aren't running to Quick Trip and whatever, okay,
So the pavilion would be within the gate of the fence?
inside the gate, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. And I mean, I can look at the fall zones and see if there's places where we can, you know, maybe round off some of the corners to reduce the costs, you know what I'm saying? Just, I mean,
But you're right, I mean, it's, at some point, if we're saving $4,000 and then you're coming in with cement,
Yeah.
it's not worth it, but,
but $4,000 might give you another pavilion or
Yeah.
something, you know? So I mean,
Yeah.
I think, so I can certainly reach out. So these are all good talking points that I can reach back out to our company with a contact.
I kind of like the blue just because if the kids are running, you know, like you see kids running from one structure to another, it seems like it would.
yeah, you're right, it's,
Yeah,
You know, just, I'm picturing my grandson.
it's all
Boy,
consistent
yeah,
as you're
yeah,
running from
yeah.
one to the other. Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah.
I got a dumb question. Looking at it right now, where's the fence gonna be? How tight to the playground is the fence gonna be?
Yep.
Or are we gonna have it,
Oh, is there gonna be
you know,
grass
are
in there?
are we gonna fence off a big area so that you do have a grassy area to play on and do things? You know, if you wanna play catch, if you wanna throw the frisbee.
I know we talked about that when we were first kind of discussing the designs, and one of the, I think I don't want it to be another Burton Park where it's all fenced off and
Yeah.
looks kind of like a prison.
But
And that's just personal opinion. Obviously, I'll do whatever the park board wants to do. If you want to fence off the other thing too is like, I was just keeping around the playground and cement to just alleviate some of the maintenance that we have to do.
I was gonna
Weed
say-
whipping and
Right. So
mowing
you
and
don't
that
have to
type
weed
of
whip.
We
thing.
leave grass around it, then then you get the maintenance.
Yeah,
my only concern is just the quick trip, and that's gonna be a busy
yes,
corner,
yes.
you know?
I don't disagree, because if you
Yeah.
have, if you've got, you know, some 10-year-old grandkids and a 3-year-old, one might wanna throw the football around. And because the swings are, you know, too immature for them, but you're watching a handful of kids. Yeah, I see your point. You want them to have, you know, maybe not a full football field,
No,
but, some grass and some cement and then this blue stuff, but that's all within, yeah. I guess I'd have to think about the,
I mean, there's ways of, they make all types of products that can go underneath fence lines so that you don't have to mow or maintain, you know, weed whip them all the time. So that's not, if that's something that you'd want to pursue, I can certainly look into that. and
Could
get
you?
pricing for it. Yeah.
Could you?
Well, like the whole park or just like the east side that's facing Quick Trip? The whole,
could we do it the whole thing and then see what it would be? We could break it down from there?
okay. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah. Meaning that we would, if we could do the whole thing, we'd do the whole thing, but if we could only do, let's say, half of it towards Quick Trip, and I don't know if that's gonna be much of a pond behind there or not.
It won't, I mean, it's
Yeah,
not,
that's not gonna-
it's more of an infiltration basin than
Yeah.
it is a wet
Place to
pond.
raise mosquitoes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. No, that's good. And if you
These are
think of,
good.
if you think of any other comments, you know, over the next couple of weeks, please feel free to email them to me and we can incorporate, like I said, it's.
Will these be on the website?
No.
They're already,
Oh, yeah,
yep,
they're out
there.
there now.
Yep, yep, they're on the
Yep.
agenda packet. Yep, absolutely. So, yeah, if
Has
there's
there been
any,
any feedback from, like, the residents of Bella Rose? No,
no, I haven't heard
You
anything.
mean from this one? Not from our designs?
No,
Just wondering.
but I mean, if that's, yeah. You don't wanna open up too big a can of worms. Everybody has an
No,
opinion
but-
on
Right.
what
But
they
it's on
like.
the website. if
It
they
is on the
want.
website, so if you're out in the public and you're
Yeah.
watching this and you wanna give some insight onto the designs that we have, or wanna see something completely different, please, let my office know.
Yeah.
And we already did the survey.
Okay.
So, okay.
yeah, looks good.
Well, I'll do a little more legwork on it, and it'll probably be, we'll just kinda keep this on an ongoing basis for the future park board meetings for discussion, and, you know, when we're all comfortable with, design, and we'll move it along to common council.
Okay.
Okay.
Project updates, Lakefront Park.
Yeah, so the one project that I have is obviously, with the warm weather, the Lunda crew has been able to continue work on the wharf in Lakefront Park. They were supposed to complete, driving the piles today. If you go down there, you'll notice, some of them are quite long, sticking out of the river. They are going to come back and cut 5 to 8 feet off of some of those poles. The ones further to the south are more of the finish height. They were able to drive it in the sand. It was more of a sandy soil. On the north end, they ran into sandstone, so they weren't able to drive the entire dry pile down. Those piles are driven 25 feet into the riverbed. And so, once they're completed with driving the piles, they will come back and install the decking, which will probably begin late this week, early next. And then, obviously, there is some concrete work yet to do and the gangway installation. So the project is moving along rather quickly, quicker than I anticipated. There is the verbiage in our permit that middle of March, it's March 6th or 15th, I don't recall off the top of my head, but middle of March, they have to stop work in the river due to fish spawn, and that lasts all the way to June 6th. So any work in the river. So I think, to be honest with you, now that they got the piles driven, I think even like decking work, they would continue to do,
Yeah.
they'd be able to continue to work. It's just you can't disturb the
Yeah.
soils of the river. So I think they're at a point now where they'll be able to finish well ahead of time what the contract has stated, which was June 26th or something like that. So, yeah, obviously, I think moving forward on our next park board committee, I know that we talked about putting together a separate committee for like,
Everything to do with that.
everything to do
and
with that,
boat
yeah,
launching.
yep.
Yep.
How large of boats are we gonna allow, or, you know, how long can they park there, so on and so forth, how are we gonna police
Mike
it.
and Don and I were gonna be that committee.
Yeah, so maybe when Don gets back, probably have a meeting with the three of you so we can talk through some of these things and bring
Yeah.
back our recommendations to Park Board, like in, I don't know, April, or I don't know when Don
Yeah,
gets
and
back.
we're gonna look
but-
at Prescott and Stillwater
Yep.
and
Yeah.
Hastings.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's coming along. Kind of a shell shock when the pilings were first going in a little bit.
Right.
But now that the ones to the south are driven all the way down to their more finished height, I think, with some continued tree planting or tree maturation, it'll be screened fairly well from within the park and the
Yeah.
roadway. So, yeah, I had a couple articles,
Yeah.
Hudson Star Observer, Star Tribune was reaching out. So, yeah, moving along.
We should plan a ribbon cutting of some sort for all the hard work that people put into that and make it probably once that's all complete, obviously. Do you know what are they decking it with? Are they doing ironwood or is it a
No,
composite?
I don't recall off the top of my head if it's just like a treated lumber or if it's like, weather decking.
Okay.
I can check and just email it to you. I'd have to check the plan.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's moving along, that's for sure.
We
It's a lot
have-
wide, you don't really envision what 8 feet wide is, but once they get it in there, I mean, and did you see how they set them in there? They had a huge crane, and they had to pick the dock section up and place them
Yeah.
one by one. So, quite the process.
We could put Mike's boat in and then Pat will have the scissors and come up and then cut the ribbon
Yeah.
from the water.
Yeah, those pilings are tall.
Yeah. But they're set to, the top height is set to 694. Obviously, the highest flood was in 1965 at 692. So our hope is this system will stay in place for, any flood event that hopefully I see in my lifetime.
Yeah,
If it goes above that, I'm retiring.
yeah.
Well, and I think you hit the nail on the head. All the leaves are on the ground right now. It's new to us.
Yeah.
But once the leaves come back in, they get a little more consistent height. I think it'll feel very wharfy.
Yeah.
And fit the
Overall vibe
that's what
of-
you have to have them to have the dock, so.
Yeah, yeah, and there's true, I mean, you gotta think about what that system has to endure between, the ice, the flow of the water coming through underneath the bridge when it gets roaring through there.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's gotta be stout, otherwise that thing's gonna be down the river.
Yep,
So, I mean,
yeah.
it's kind of the nature of the beast when you're installing that large of a system.
Yeah,
And if you get a number of boats tied up to it on a windy day,
Yep,
that catches the wind real strongly in there,
Yeah.
so
yep, so,
that needs to be stopped.
that's what I got.
Last one we had is number 8, just bringing everybody up to date with the Railroad Trestle Committee. They're moving forward. We're going to have a meeting coming up, don't know when yet, set up with the park board from the village in North Hudson. And have it to be a joint park meeting about that whole area and what's now in the plan to take place there and move forward. Out of that, then will also come what is gonna go to the city, the county, and the village for a maintenance agreement or continuation agreement to take care of things going into the future. But the biggest thing is we already own the land,
yeah.
so we're improving what we already have. We're still waiting, and we're gonna need probably the mayor and both Mikes calling the railroad to get them to return a call. We're trying to get an at-grade crossing at the top of Bridge Street, if you know where that is in your mind's eye, and you've got the city garages on the other side of the tracks.
Yep.
To have a at-grade crossing there. So if you started at the beginning of Reeves Trail, you'd ride through, you'd come through Lakefront Park, diagonally up to River Street, take River Street 1 block up to 2nd Street, go down 2 blocks, go in on Division, then over by the city garages, and then down through, across the Trestle Bridge, and then through North Hudson and up. And the long-range plan of it was that there won't be a trailhead down there. It'll be a park that has a bike trail through it. There'll be a pavilion down there that we can use like we have in our other parks. A canoe rack, kayakers, some fishing piers, and a lot of mat direction for things, with the trailhead, if Hudson's gonna have one, being at the end of St. Croix Street, where we have sewer and water and everything to there to be able to have a full-size facility. And we're getting the depot from Gagnon's, the old depot down in Lakefront Park. Gagnon's have given that to the city. So, and the plan is to be able to, move that down to St. Croix Street and utilize that in some way with the old railroad site and everything. So it's moving like a herd of turtles. But the good thing is you've got all the parties working together. And I think with that, with the governmental monies that may be becoming available, with the ability to approach the various foundations and that within the valley, the committee feels really strongly that they're gonna be able to come up with the monies that it's not gonna cost the city of Hudson to improve that park to a great extent, or the village in North Hudson, or the county, because the county's already biting off a big chunk with the park that they're doing up by V. So it'll be a nice addition to our parks. Be able to have that whole area as part of it. That's all I've got.
Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Moved, so moved.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.